Hello, everyone, and a hearty welcome. So, in the past, if you all know, on my Instagram page, I've done 21 days mandala ritual. And this year, I've got 21 days meditative art ritual. So, it's the same in a new form with different variety of art forms. So, it's a beautiful journey of creating art over 21 days with 21 inspiring artists. So each day brings a new style, new perspective, and something new to learn, not just from the artists, but from each other as well. It's been such a joy bringing together this wonderful mix of familiar faces and new connections. And not only that, I'm also excited to be one of the 21 artists teaching this time. So, all I would say is let's create art together and have fun learning. So, in the 21 days meditative art ritual, we are starting off by having a session with Chetna, who is also known as artist Chetna on Instagram. So, we are going to learn art journaling from her. You will love it.
Art journaling is a practice that you can include in your daily life where you express your thoughts in a creative way using art techniques, any kind of art, be it doodling, be it calligraphy, be it collage work, scrapbooking, anything that you find interesting, anything that you resonate with can be used in your art journaling practice. So journaling you must have heard of is writing down your thoughts, your emotions, creating your to-do lists so that your mind is clear and you're free of the all the loops that are continuously going on in your head. Art journaling is just a creative way of doing it. Sometimes we don't know what to write, but we can express ourselves through colors, through textures, patterns, collage work. That's what I personally do. That's why I'm giving you all of those examples. So it's just a creative way of getting your mind more focused, more aligned, and more free of all the noise that keeps going on sometimes. So, we will start with some collage work today, and then we'll add colors, quotes, elements, and texture to the artwork. Okay, the material that we need, let's go through the list quickly. We'll need an A4 size paper. The size of the paper doesn't matter. You can, if you're doing this regularly on a daily basis or on like a weekly basis, you can keep a small notebook where you just open it, you quickly make something, and you don't have the pressure of creating a full-fledged artwork. Right now, we're just wanting to create something and understand the techniques. That's why we need a bigger sheet, but A5 also works. So any drawing paper, um, the texture of the paper also doesn't matter. You can take a textured paper or a simple paper. Video is not available, but why? You can just pin. You would see the video with the name artist. It's only showing artist, but artist Chetna. You can pin that. Okay, we need paper, we need some colors, any brush pens, watercolors, whatever you have. We need some fine liners, a point 0.5, and I think point 0.5 is good enough. Any thick fine liner works. And I'll also be using a not fine liner, this is a brush tip pen, but it's quite small. Okay, I'll use this to write quotes and make some dots and all of those things. And we also need some scrap pieces of paper like a brown paper, a white paper, a printer paper where you can create some elements and add to your artwork, colored papers, fevicol, scissors, so basic things, and also some colored papers if you have them. Okay. Now to get started, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready, and then I'll quickly start with the activity, the session. Yeah, we also need some old books or magazines. I can see so many thumbs ups already. So we will begin with brown paper and some book pieces or out you can tear out of newspapers, magazines, old books, whatever you have available with you. And this is such a fun, intuitive form of art where you don't have to follow any rules. Just go along with me and just try to create out of joy, not out of perfection. Okay. So I'm tearing out a small piece of brown paper like this. It can be grocery bags or any. This is what I've saved from a package that I received some time back. So I'm a big time hoarder now because I practice this art form. And I'll stick it to the center. You can either start on one of the corners of your paper or from the center. It doesn't matter. Just one second. Make sure you glue all of the edges properly. Very randomly. I'm just sticking it. Now I'm tearing out a similar size of page of a book and I'm going to stick it here. While you're doing this, just think of two colors that you want to add to your artwork. Now, those colors can be anything. I'm going to use an orange and a pink. You can either follow the colors that I'm using or choose your own colors. Totally up to you. So we'll be using orange and pink. And for that, I'll be using these poster colors. So what we are doing right now is we are creating the background, the base of the artwork. Okay. Some texture has been added and now we are moving towards the color. Just small amounts of color for now. I'll be using these two colors. Starting with the orange. Now, since I'm using watercolors, I'm going to vary the amount of water I add. At some places, it's going to be more concentrated than the other. So, where you add more water, it's going to look like a pastel shade of the same color. And on some points, you can use more color and less water to create a darker patch. Now, it's not necessary to stick to just two colors. You can use three, four, five, whatever number of colors you want. However colorful you want to make this, it's totally up to you. This is enough. Now I'll move to pink. Pink or more like magenta. So not just full coverage, you can create patches of color like this as well. It looks really good. Another thing you can do is, so these are the patterns, like big squares. And I also love doing this one. I make circles. It's okay if they turn out to be ovals and not circles. That's fine. We're not trying to make anything perfect here. And we'll also leave a lot of white space. You can vary the size of circles.
Chetna, just a quick question. Do we
Hmm.
always need to use a white background, or can we also go with a black one as well, like a black
Yeah.
A4 size paper?
Yeah, black also works. Any colored paper, any brown paper, whatever you have. There's no
Hmm.
need to have a white background.
Okay.
But if you want to use watercolors, you need to have a lighter color in the background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't pronounce the name who raised the hand. Please unmute yourself and ask your question and also share your name.
Hi, you can call me Ravali.
Okay. Hi, Ravali.
Yeah. Do you just go by feeling when you paint, or you
Yes.
have an intention behind painting?
Right now, I honestly don't have any idea in mind, but you can definitely choose a theme if you want to have an idea before you start creating. But this is more of an intuitive form of art. So you generally don't need any theme or any idea beforehand. Just what I personally do is I gather my art supplies and I just sit down with a blank sheet of paper, and then I start by sticking some random pieces of paper. What I also like to do is sometimes if I've been out and I have some bills, some receipts, some business cards, I would stick them, and then I would start adding more layers, colors, and patterns to the page.
Do you also get stuck in the cycle of that this piece should be perfect and
No,
things?
I try not to do it actually, because here I do not have any particular goal. Like in a mandala, you know that this should be the final result. But in art journaling, you do not have any such thing, because even you don't know where it's going to end up. Some journal spreads turn out better than the others, and that's totally fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Also, what I've observed, sorry, just a second. Yeah. So what I have observed over time is what kind of spread you're going to create depends totally on the kind of supplies that you have around yourself. So if you just have watercolors and papers, you're going to create something using those things. If you just have acrylic paints and pens, then you're going to create something out of those things. So it depends on the supplies that you're using and what kind of mood you're in. That also makes this different. You know, sometimes we're in a bad mood, then we'll choose some colors depending on that mood, and the artwork would look slightly dull. You can compare, even like sit down on a day where you're having a bad day and create something. It's going to make you feel good, of course, and then sit down on one day where you had a very good day and create something and compare the artworks, and you will see the difference yourself. As you can see, I'm just randomly adding some patches of pink here and there, and I'm not trying to cover up a lot of space with color. Okay, I'm satisfied with the background for now. We'll obviously add more things later. Now we'll keep this aside for a short while, and we're going to use printer paper or any white scrap paper that you have. Let's put this aside and leave it for drying. And on top of this, I'll show you some elements and symbols that I like to create, and then we'll create stickers out of them. Okay. And this is a printer paper that I'm using, and we're going to use a fine liner here. Just this one. A zero 0.5 works here. We'll start with the easiest symbol and one of my favorites, which is the Nazar symbol. And I'll use brush pens to color this quickly. So you make a circle, then a dot in the center, dark blue color on the outer side, and a light blue color around the black dot. Now, whatever symbols you're making, make sure you leave some white space around them, because when we cut them out, we're going to cut them with a white edge, with a white border. Next one is going to be lotus, my second favorite thing. For this, if you want, you can use your pencil first and then trace with your pen. We start with the center petal and then we add petals on the sides. I'm adding light pink inside the lotus. Sap green to the stem here. and a brighter pink. Brighter pink is going to be in very small amounts, and then I'm using the light pink again to blend it a little. Now, this is printer paper, so don't go overboard. It might tear up. Don't add too many layers of color. Another flower that I personally like and that goes with everything is this one, a very simple one. So we start with a circle, and now, just for the ease of making petals, we're going to make a bigger circle around this. Okay, and we'll divide this into 5 sections. I don't know what's happening with this. Just 1 second. Okay, so we'll divide the flower into divide the circle into 5 sections. Like this. They don't need to be perfectly similar in size. And then we make petals. Okay. Now, inside the petals, we're going to add some details. So we make lines and dots, but the dots are connected with the lines. Like this. And if you want to go overboard with this, you can double line the petals in this way so that it looks like it's curling up. This looks almost like that cherry blossom flower. A simple version of this would be so I generally make the flower like this without any circle and grid very quickly and randomly, and then just a few lines like this. And then I add color inside. This turns out to be even prettier if I make it with this brush pen that I talked about. Just make sure wherever you're making the flower or any other thing, you have space around it. So with the brush pen, you can change the pressure of the pen and create this line where at some point it's very fine and at some points it's thick. Okay. And this also, you can darken some portions of the petal like this. Okay. There's so many more flowers that you can create, so many more elements that you can create. Just one more that I want to share is similar to this. I symbol again. Now, one advantage with the flowers is that you can color them based on the color palette of your artwork. And sometimes our artwork is so colorful that we want to balance it out with some black and white elements. So you can keep the flowers black and white and just use them as they are. That also balances the artwork really well. Okay, let's cut these out quickly. I'll show you how to cut them in the right way. So they look like stickers. First, we'll cut out the whole portion and separate all the elements very carefully, leaving a lot of white space around them, like this. So, this cutting part takes me back to my childhood where we used to create craft projects, and I really enjoy it. First step is to separate everything. Just make sure you're leaving a lot of white space around it. Okay. Now, when we start cutting the actual sticker, we're going to go like this. Leaving a lot of white space, creating a border around the main shape. Can you see that? When you add color or just add it as it is, it's going to look like a sticker. So a lot of times we don't have very fancy supplies, but that is just not the point. The joy is in making your own things and using them in your artwork. So the lotus, we're going to go along the petals and the stem as well, like this. Now in this eye where we have these lines, we're going to cut it this way. I'm keeping these flowers aside for now. I'll cut them if I want to use them later. Oh yeah, one more thing that we will do with the printer paper is now you can use a black color or any other color for this part. I'm using the black brush pen and we'll create some patterns here. So I'm making marks like this in an alternating pattern. So if I have like 10 here, the next 10 would be in between the placements here. Okay, and then the third row would be the same as the first one. Like this. Okay. Another pattern that you can create is using lines. So I'm just making it in a small portion on the sheet and then I can tear it out and paste it in my artwork. So sometimes on some days when you don't want to make a whole artwork, you can use any scrap white paper or use fresh printer papers and just create all of these patterns and symbols and elements, and then you can later on when you want to create the main artwork use these things. So on days when you don't want to do a lot of things, you can create these smaller elements. Now with the line pattern, you can vary the thickness of the lines as well. Another line pattern that I really enjoy is where you, now I'll make it slightly away from this one. Here you start at one point and then you create a very wobbly line and you just keep going without lifting your pen. If you want to make it more fun, you can do this with your eyes closed as well. Something like this. And then if you want to make it more detailed, you can color some portions, you can add lines to some portions like this. Any big portions that you see, you can add lines inside it. This part in itself is very relaxing. Okay, now let's bring back the main artwork. And let's place the elements. You can place them anywhere you want, but don't overthink anything. I'm starting with the lotus. Let's also clear out these patterns we created. You can first tear out the whole piece, and then you can see how much portion of it you want to actually use in the artwork. Now, for example, from this, I just want a small portion, something like this, that I would like to place maybe over here. We're just creating a lot of layers and textures in the artwork without overthinking anything. And if you want, you can balance this by adding a small piece of it. I really like the torn edge effect. That's why I'm just clearing out this part as well. And maybe I'll place it here. Yeah. Small portion of the lines that we have. Yeah. So when you place a black and white element on top of color, it looks really good. Okay, now this part looks slightly empty to me. So in that portion, I'm going to use these two flowers. Let's first cut them out. Yeah, I'm saying this again and again, but you just don't have to overthink anything. Place the element, see if it looks decent, just stick it there. Don't think too much. You'll slowly build it. You'll slowly understand where to exactly place the elements. And the advantage of making this form of art is if at any point you feel like some portion is not looking good to you, you can cover it up with another sheet of paper or another element. I let the flowers be black and white. Now over here, first also use this. Yeah, I'll use this one. So if you notice, I like to use elements at the intersection of things, and sometimes I like to use elements um, along with an existing thing on paper. Like here, I have the brown paper, so I use the dotted piece of paper right next to it. Over here as well, I had these blocks of pink, so I used the dotted paper next to it, connecting things together basically. Now, one last thing that we'll do on top of this is add a coat, not the last thing. So I'm cutting out a strip of printer paper again. Now, this totally depends on the length of the strip you're cutting. It totally depends on what you actually want to write. But I just randomly cut it out and I'll think of a quote to write. If you can't think of anything, you can go to Pinterest or um, find some uh, quotes on Google and use that in the artwork. I'm just trying to think of something. If nothing comes up, you can also use affirmations like write affirmations. Okay, I know what I want to write. I'll cut strips of paper depending on the words, the length of the words. What you can do as an alternative is first write your quote and then tear out the words separately and paste them. I like this placement. The brown part was looking slightly empty. That's why I'm placing the quote on top of it. Once I'm satisfied with the placement, I'll paste it. All right. I'm actually writing an affirmation. Now, one more thing we'll do is we'll add some more elements directly on the paper. And for this, you can use any colored pen or black pen. You can randomly sprinkle some tiny circles here and there. And on this side and this side here, on top of this orangish color, we're going to write um, some of our feelings or maybe some affirmations, anything that you want to write here. Okay, I'll just go ahead with some more affirmations like this one. So in this part, you can either go with affirmations or some famous quotes or some quotes that you resonate with. And on the other portions, you can write your feelings, affirmations, or any other thing that a poem or anything that you want. I've just written down about the things that I'm grateful for. And over here, painting some affirmations or things that you're grateful for. Making some more elements. And over here, I'm writing the date. And that's our artwork for today. Please feel free to ask questions and also show your artwork. Reena, we can start with you. How did you enjoy this?
Yeah, I was all right. So I think for me it was really good to sort of use the supplies that I've been wanting to use from a long time. That's one, and also like I just had few old photos of myself, and I think I don't know if you're able to see my artwork. I have it.
It's very zoomed in, so only a small part is visible.
Yeah, I think I'll just bring it here as well, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a very small snippet that I've done in the A4 size, where
Mm-hmm.
I started off by adding the brown piece of paper, and then I
Mm-hmm.
had this mandala which I had done like on my first day of work when I started after graduating. So I
Okay.
added that, and then I just added like a fearless and a
Can't
bold,
see the
like a rainbow.
mandala right now, actually.
And of course, I added a small photo of myself. Just it was more like a thing, like how far I've come, and I want to carry
Yeah.
this fearless and bold nature, or I at least want to work on it for the future, right? So I think,
Mm-hmm.
like you
Looks
told, it's just
wonderful.
really like putting random things together, and there was no agenda, there was no overthinking. What I just felt like I could always do over it, but I really didn't need do it. It just went with
Mm-hmm.
the flow. Like I just went with the flow.
That's amazing. And it looks really good as well. Very simple.
Yeah. And it's very therapeutic in that way. Like you don't really have to overthink and just use whatever supplies that you have.
Exactly.
Still have to complete actually. Yeah.
But it looks wonderful so far. I can see you've created a mandala as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was nice. I really enjoyed your session.
Thank you so much.
Very calming. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
I didn't have watercolors. I just added with the
Yeah,
fine
I can
liners,
see you've.
colored fine liners.
I
I
thought it's
did that.
pencil colors, but it looks really good.
Yeah, thank you
I
so
think
much.
that's the
It was
beauty,
really
right?
nice.
Like you do with whatever you have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah. Thank
Wonderful.
you.